Hello, everyone. My name is Emma Loney, and I am the current Miss Oklahoma Earth USA, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. I have a familiar face with me today, Emma Loney, Miss Oklahoma Earth USA. Emma, how are you?
I am wonderful. So excited to be on here with you. This is always one of my favorite interviews to do. I love chatting with you, so it's really just an honor to be here on here today.
Thank you. First question, most important question, very difficult question I got to ask you. How are the chickens?
I was so ready to talk about this because I have had events since the last chicken conversation. So we had an unfortunate occurrence of a fox getting into the chicken coop.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we had trails of feathers and we had a few survivors, but the majority were eaten. So we were able to get babies over the summer, and I raise them into adults now. And they normally don't start laying when it's really cold out. We were thinking, okay, it's going to be the spring that we finally are seeing more eggs. But yesterday, actually, we check and there's an egg. And so it was really exciting. And it was perfect timing because I'm like, oh God, I got to tell him about the egg.
It's a sign, an egg right before the interview. That's so weird because in parallel, my family initially got 2 chickens and we were letting them roam around our backyard because it's not like I've never seen a fox. I didn't think they were predatory animals. We're enclosed, but we let them out of the coop. One day they never came back. And we still don't exactly know what happened, but we found feathers. We think it was a fox or a wild cat. And then we got 2 more. And event we kept them in the coop. They started laying. We had problems. Good. Yeah, and the first egg is always. Well, I mean, that definitely wasn't the first egg you ever got, but it was the first egg we ever got. It is stupidly exciting for a grown man.
So exciting
to see an egg and to get excited. It's a little. Do you remember the first time you one of your chickens laid an egg?
It is. No, it's just so exciting. Like I think we jumped up and down. We opened it up and we're like, an egg! And then I definitely took pictures of it. I took videos of it. I was so excited. I don't know why it is just so rewarding, but it is so just cool. It's such a cool experience. And it's something that you normally have. Well, I had bought at stores my entire life.
Exactly.
I had never had chickens growing up. So it's just so weird to have the animal and then you directly see are able to use it.
Exactly. Do you have any tips for brooding chickens? Because that's an issue we're having with one of the chickens we have now. So we got 2 replacements and one of them wants to do the brooding thing and that means she'll stop laying. Do you have any tips for that?
I honestly have no idea.
You're my chicken.
I have 11. So only one of our new ones has started laying and then the other ones have consistently been laying, but it's kind of hard to tell which ones aren't laying. I don't know,
you don't know which one has.
So I'm sadly do not have any tips, but I have a hard time keeping them in their coop. We have a fenced in area around the coop. Sorry, my cat is in my lap harassing me.
All sorts of animals today.
Lots of animals. I have a lot of animals. I am an animal lover. But they leave the coop, and I think that's how the fox followed them in. They could smell their trail all the way back to the coop. So yeah, they don't like to sit, and they're even more friendly. These ones that I raised from the chicks are way more friendly than the other ones. They follow us around. It's so funny.
Yeah, chickens are strange animals. I will say they're not the most intelligent animals, having seen some of the behavior. But anyway, that's all I wanted to interview you about. So thank you everyone for watching.
We're done. We just needed a chicken update.
Yeah, exactly. No, so for those of you who are not, for the people watching, most people are going to be familiar with who you are. But for those who don't know, do you want to give people a quick overview as to your pageant history?
Absolutely. So I started pageantry when I was in high school, when I was 16 years old. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anybody in pageantry, and I didn't know what to do. And I competed in my first pageant, which was National American Miss, which is a United States-based system. And
Mhm.
I wore a huge poofy tulle orange prom dress, and I thought I was it. I thought that was it. That was the best look I could
Sounds
do.
awesome.
But I was able to place in the top 10 that year, and I just was hooked by the sisterhood, the friendships, and just I loved the whole atmosphere. It was something that I never knew about, but wanted to know everything about.
Mm.
So I just kept competing different systems in the United States, and then I found Miss Earth USA and the Miss Earth organization, and I really fell in love because Miss Earth is it's a beauty pageant, of course, but then it has that underlying mission by women everywhere to help preserve Mother Earth. And I thought that
Mm.
was just such an important thing that I wanted to be a part of. And it was so cool because I hadn't competed in a system that kind of had that like bigger issue that we were tackling together. It was, of course,
Yeah.
the sisterhood and other organizations, and that was wonderful and able to amplify your voice on whatever issue you cared about. But just being able to be like on this unified mission with people all across the globe is
Mm.
really just an amazing thing that I'm so thankful to be a part of.
Ralph here has said good afternoon. Do you know Ralph? He tunes into a lot of the Earth interviews.
Yes, he is actually a great and huge fan of the Miss Earth and Miss Earth USA organization. He will be attending and attended last year when I competed, and I got to meet him in person. And he's just been a really amazing support to myself and the whole Miss Earth and Miss Earth USA organization.
Beautiful. Hello, Ralph. Thank you for watching again. So, Miss Earth USA seems to have been doing pretty well at Miss Earth. 2 years ago with Lindsay, and now obviously with Marissa.
Mhm.
Have you given any thought to why Miss Earth USA seems to be doing so well with Miss Earth?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of factors. I think one of the big factors is we have such a great leadership team.
Mm.
I think having a successful title holder is all about, of course, the woman that is crowned, but also the team behind her. And they've been able to prepare these women exceptionally for the Miss Earth competition. And just helping them to know what to expect and the ways to be most successful, I think, is extremely important. Also, I believe that the women being crowned are just genuinely kind, intelligent people that shine, with or without a crown, and they're able to even if they weren't crowned, they would be making an impact regardless.
100%.
And I think that's really important in a title holder, that their voice is not changing because of the title, but they're just all around good people to begin with. And I think the Miss Earth organization being so focused on, involvement and, being able to speak and intelligence, that they're able to shine in that way too. So, there's a lot of things, but there's a lot of great things happening.
I know that you know Marissa well. I think one
Mhm.
time when I was messaging you, you were having a shoot with her and Cataluna.
Yes.
So what is I've never met Marissa in person, still stuck in Australia, but what is Marissa like in person? Just away from the interview, because every time I'm talking to her, it's obviously an interview. Away from the interviews, away from the camera, what is she like?
Marissa is a dear friend of mine. The first time I met her was at Miss Earth USA last year. And from the moment I met her, she was just so humble and like just gave off really amazing energy, if you know what I mean. And I one night had not eaten dinner, and I just texted her. I'm like, hey, do you want to like just meet me downstairs and have some food really quick? She said, yes, absolutely. And then so we sat down there and we ate. And we talked for like 2 hours almost, and we're both like, okay, we got to go to bed. But she was just so genuine and kind, and it really just made me admire her. And honestly, after I talked with her, I said to myself, I'm like, this is the next Miss Earth USA, because
Mm.
there was no like, I just saw it in her. And so when she was crowned, I was like, yep, I am not
Makes
surprised
sense.
because she is just, of course, she's beautiful and she takes beautiful photos and, you know, has her amazing advocacy and platform that, you know, we see as, you know, viewers, as fans. But she's just a really kind person. And, you know, over this past year, I've been able to get closer with her. We're constantly talking, texting, FaceTiming. And she's just a person that really cares about other people. And I think that is such an important trait to have, not just as a title holder, but in life.
Interesting you mentioned her energy, just because one of the other people that I interviewed for Miss Earth USA last year said when Marissa walked in the room, you could just feel it, like as if there was some sort of invisible energy. So
Yeah.
did you feel it as well? And if you felt it, do you know where it came from or it comes from?
I think it truly is just a confidence in who you are, and knowing yourself and being proud of just where you are right there in that moment. Um, I think there's so many things that can take us down when we're competing in pageantry, but a woman that
Mm.
is proud to stand exactly as she is and walks into a room knowing, you know, I'm not here to compete with anyone. I'm just here to be the best version of myself. That gives off an energy that, you know, if you're have any kind of negative thoughts or feelings that you're not going to give off. So it's truly about just like the confidence and kindness. I mean, I know kindness is so much more than just a feeling. You interact with someone
Yeah.
and that's how you kind of see how they are. But just having a genuine warmth to you is what she had, in addition to that confidence.
You mentioned her advocacy. So coming up to Miss Earth USA, I know that you have your advocacy, what you stand for.
Mhm.
So would you like to tell us a little bit more about it?
Of course. So I have two huge platforms that might not seem to, you know, go together, but I really believe that they do, and I'll tell you why. So the first that is environmentally focused is hashtag legislate change, and that is to encourage people nationwide to contact their representatives to push for them to vote in favor of the environmental bills and policies that are being introduced into the House and Senate. And this is something that's extremely important that I realized as a law student, and
Mhm.
the just great impact that our legislation plays in our daily lives that we might not otherwise know about. There's so many things that our legislation can be doing to combat climate change that it is not doing. And I think it's just a fear to upset people. There's just so much that people are afraid to do because it might upset corporations. It's going to cost more
Mhm.
money. And, you know, there's still people that don't believe in climate change. So it's really a difficult topic, but I think that if we have a mass amount of people that are reaching out and saying, no, this is really important, this is something we care about, that we can make the change on that level. And this isn't just something that can be in the United States. I was able to talk about in
Mhm.
another interview that, you know, if I were able to bring this to an international level, we can be pushing for representatives and world leaders everywhere to be enacting and coming together to come up with a climate crisis solution. And that is so important because we can do things on a daily basis and, you know, make the changes that we can. But, you know, the amount of carbon emission coming from huge factories is still exceptionally great. And factory
Mhm.
farming is destroying rainforests, it's destroying our ozone. And so, next, moving on to my other huge platform. This is something that is not related to the Miss Earth organization on its face, but it is
Mhm.
something that I have had to come into it through my time in pageantry, and that is body positivity. As a plus size contestant, it's almost inevitable because I'm so different. But it's something that I really just started promoting on my own. My sister was hospitalized for a really severe eating disorder my freshman year of college. And that really made me see the importance of showing women everywhere that they do not need to go to these extreme lengths to try to conform to the stereotype of beauty. And then through my continuation in pageantry, I had to quickly adapt and say, okay, am I going to change myself or just accept who I am and try to pave this new path. So I'm so proud to be here today representing curvy women and representing a plus size body on a pageant stage. And so how these kind of go together is that Miss Earth has such an important voice for climate advocacy, and having someone like me that is different, I'm able to bring in a new set of eyes that normally wouldn't be looking into pageantry. I'm able to bring people that thought pageantry was only for one type of woman, and make them see that no, pageantry is still relevant. Pageantry is something that we can support. And I know there was a lot of backlash in India recently, with some Indian influencers talking about, oh, pageantry isn't relevant. They only care about one thing. And that's just facial beauty and how skinny you are. And being able to step on a pageant stage and say, no, it's more than that. And bringing all the people that might not care about pageantry to see will also amplify the voice of climate change and sustainability.
I think one of the things that a lot of people who will say sometimes when people say pageantry is not relevant, they really haven't done their homework. That's what I believe. Secondly, they might be talking about the version of pageantry that existed 10, 20, 30 years ago, which is markedly different to what it is now. Not my opinions withstanding, how do you feel that pageantry is still relevant today, just for those people who might be going, oh, this is something that, should have disappeared 10, 20 years ago?
Yes, I think that people do not realize that interviews happen in pageantry. And that it is usually the biggest part of competition, as well as the public speaking aspect. I take the most pride in the interview area of competition. We love being on stage as pageant girls, but being able to sit and express your passions and express your work and your advocacy in an interview setting is a skill that I have really developed and will take me right into the workforce in years. This is a skill that I have really, really, really appreciated from pageantry. And it is so relevant because everybody interviews for a job at some point in their lives. In addition to that, it's giving women a platform to come together and support one another. People think that pageantry is all about competition, but they don't see that we are all in a sisterhood and we're all here to support one another, and that it's more than a crown, and it's more than a sash, and it's more than a title, that and it's interesting because you just created the Pageant Sorority. It truly is a sisterhood. And it's just a place for like-minded women to come together. I have not met in a single area more intelligent, inspiring, uplifting, and powerful women than in pageantry. In addition, we also have people that are changing the stereotypes of beauty in pageantry, and having more acceptance of the LGBTQ plus community and me as a plus size person, and having transgender women competing in pageantry. There's just so many things changing. And the current Miss Earth won with her hair in the dreads. So this is something that people never thought was possible, but it's happening every day.
I've often said that if there's any reason to stay in pageantry, because obviously there are downsides, but there's downsides to any industry, let's be honest. But the main one that keeps me in it anyway is meeting the amazing women from around the world, not just any particular country. And they're all doing something individually amazing. They're all unique. They all have their own advocacies, what they're passionate about. Why? I'd be interested to know, why do you think pageantry tends to attract women like that? For the most part, it really isn't just models who come in and then don't take the other parts of pageantry seriously. It tends to attract intelligent, well-spoken, articulate, passionate, hardworking women. I'm fascinated to know why you think that happens.
I think that we all, as pageant women, see pageantry as an outlet to amplify our voice, and as an opportunity to grow in all of our abilities that we are working on currently. And it gives us just a platform to speak on a larger scale than we might not normally have access to. So if we have something that we're really passionate about, pageantry is a great way to, get that voice out there. representation and body positivity, pageantry has been able to help me use and reach that message across the world, something that I always dreamed of and didn't know if it was ever going to happen, and have been able to reach other countries. We're talking right now and you're in
Yeah.
Australia. Like, this is
Yes, I
something
am.
that I never thought I would have the opportunity to do. So being able to share what we're passionate about, to everyone that we possibly can is, I think, a huge attraction point.
Let's just go back to your advocacy for a second. So, legislate change, is that the name of it? Hashtag
Yeah.
legislate change.
Yes.
So this would be more of a US centric question because obviously each country's political and legal systems are different. But if someone hears that and goes, "Oh, there's something that I'm really passionate about, and I want to get involved and maybe talk to a local politician or a local senator," what are the starting blocks? So for someone who doesn't know, maybe they're young, 15, 16, 17,
Yeah.
whatever it is, what are the first steps in order to be able to sort of get involved with what you're doing?
So this has been a really important aspect of me spreading this, because I don't think people realize that it's a lot easier to get in contact with their representatives than they think it is. Because for me, years ago, I'm like, oh, there's no way you could ever talk to one of these people. They're so well known. Like, how would you even go about that? But there are a lot of resources that immediately provide you their email, their phone number, and then mailing address. So what I have really pushed for people to do is make those phone calls, send those emails, or if you really want, write the letters, snail mail style.
Old fashioned.
It's possible to reach these people, and it's not something that is difficult. If you look up your state, just go on Google and look up, for example, Oklahoma state representatives, or senators, and look up contact information, and you will get provided their email address, to reach them, and then an address, and as well as a phone number. And you might not be put through to talk to them, but you can leave a voice message, or be able to talk to their secretary and say, hi, I'm calling in regards to this bill. Or if you don't want to state a specific bill, you could say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I live in Oklahoma, and I am very passionate about environmental advocacy. And if our representative is able to, vote in favor of those bills, I think this is something that we would really like to see as, residents of this state. And, they're representing your state. So the more people that are able to tell them we care about this issue, the more inclined they will be to vote for those issues. And again, there's so many resources online. One of my favorites is govtrack.us. And that gives you a list of senators. You can find all of the senators and House representatives. And then it also, this is a really fun tool, it gives you a list of all of the bills that are being introduced into the House and Senate. And you can even refine it by topics. So you're able to go in and click environmental policies and bills, and you can look at just bills that are related to environmental protection, which is super cool. And it gives you a list, and then it gives you the prognosis, where it's at in the House and Senate, how it's passed, how many votes it has, supporters, etc. So great resources, and not as difficult as we might think it is.
I'm actually wondering whether we have a version of that here in Australia. I had no idea that something like that existed. Just out of curiosity, obviously you're a law student, so you're used to reading and understanding things that no human should ever be able to understand. How difficult are the bills sort of for an average person just trying to read it, not a law student, trying to read and understand the essence of the bill and what it's really trying to push?
So that's why this resource is so awesome, because it gives you a summary in layman's terms. So even if I wasn't in law school or college or whatever, even if you don't know anything about this, it'll tell you just in a sentence or two, this bill is to help get rid of this chemical, or put it on a toxic chemical list, or this bill is to help tax carbon emission on so many corporations. It gives you a very easy, comprehensive summary. And if you really wanted to, you could go look through and confirm that it's supporting, because sometimes with bills, other parts get tacked onto them to kind of help push for when it goes into like being argued between the two sides of legislation, they'll tack something on to it so that both sides are kind of appeased, and they can agree to make it into law. But that is a little bit more than we probably need to know. But just if you want to have a basic understanding, you don't have to read the whole bill.
Yeah.
And then just looking for keywords if you do choose to is definitely helpful.
As we just discussed, you're a law student or law done, or where are you in the process of law studenting?
So there are 3 years for law school. I have my bachelor's degree, which was 4 years, and then it's 3 additional years for law school. And I just finished my last exam on Tuesday for this semester, and I'm officially halfway done. So I'm a year and a half through, and a year and a half left.
Cool. I want to ask, in law, as I already said, there are probably longer words, longer sentences than most people use. Are there any words that you use in law that you just never get a chance to use in normal conversation? Like, what are the strangest or longest words that you could just never fit into a normal sentence? Like when it comes to maths, for example, I think of trigonometry or calculus.
Yeah.
Like, when have you ever used that in normal conversation? What about law?
Dissent is a common, like every case or every law, like case law has a dissent. So that's like the Supreme Justices that disagreed with the opinion. And the word kind of started getting circulated with Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the United States when everybody was kind of big fans of her. They still are, but she unfortunately passed away. But people started to say just say dissent. And before I started law school, I'm like, what even is this? Like, why do people care about this word? And it's not something you wouldn't just be like, I dissent. I mean, you could, but it's not in common conversation. But ultimately, it just means, yo, I disagree.
Yeah. See if you can bring that into your interview at Miss Earth USA. Dissent, somehow bring it into your interview.
Right. So that's a word that I have to read every single day of my life. The cases are separated. It's got the case law, the fact pattern, the analysis, and then the ruling, and then it has dissent, and then you've got to read the justice's dissent that didn't agree with it. And it's every single case for the most part has a dissent, and it's something I have to read frequently, and you don't use it. A word, I know you didn't ask this, but a word that I use so frequently now because of law school is allegedly. Because in normal conversation.
Are you sure you use it a lot, or do you just allegedly use it a lot?
Allegedly.
Yes.
It's such a fun word, and my sister will be like, oh, I texted our mom, she didn't text me back, and I said allegedly you texted her. Or I called her, and I don't know, it's just it's a word that we use, again, extremely frequently, and a word that has translated into my vocabulary.
It is quite a long word. It's not a word that I've heard much in pageant interviews, allegedly. But maybe you can start something here, bring it back. Allegedly, how many syllables? Allegedly, four syllables, not bad. Can you think of a word that has 5 syllables? Let's put you on the spot.
A legal word?
Any word. More than 4 syllables. What's the longest word you know?
I mean, I could say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That would be
I was going to say, apart from that one.
I know, but that would be the longest just because of what it is. But I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's.
We can come back to it. It's a silly question. Let's move to this viewer question. Samantha is over in Wales in the UK, and she's asked, how does law go with pageantry? So studying of law with pageantry. Do you find people surprised you do pageants?
So frequently, yes. People are like, how and why? Because they are so different. Law is definitely a male-dominated field. We've definitely had speakers come in and talk about what the women should and shouldn't wear in the classroom when they're practicing law, and of course don't say anything about the men. So the fact that I'm getting on stage in a swimsuit is definitely addictive to being a lawyer. But I really think it's important to show that people are more than one thing and that I am more than one thing. And this is something that I love to do. And there's no reason that I can't do both. I think we put people in boxes a lot of the time and say that, you know, because you do this, you can't do this. But, you know, there's more than one side of me, and this is something I love to do. And I love to study and someday practice law. I love everything about it. And bringing them together, they actually, of course, on the outside, you're like, how do they even correspond at all? But I'm able to use a lot of my skills that I've gained through pageantry in law. I've had to, you know, get on mock stands and, you know, like defend my case. And those public speaking skills I've definitely gained from pageantry. And just the ability to think on my feet and think on the spot and be very communicative. Of course, law goes into law, but you also have to have great like interpersonal skills and speaking skills. And you're talking to clients daily. And so pageantry has also done that for me, and its ability to, you know, make you able to interact with all types of people on all levels in every situation. And then, you know, because of my legal education, I'm able to bring that into pageantry and show that, you know, this is a really cool thing that we should talk about in pageantry as well.
Why do you have speakers come in who tell the women how to dress just out of interest?
Yeah, that's
and they only tell the women this.
That's what I also asked myself. I thought it was very interesting. It was gosh, what class was it? I think it was my first year last year, introduction to the legal field. And the speaker was from just a random law firm in Illinois. And it was just over Zoom, but he came in just to talk about like professionalism and somehow got on the topic of women, you shouldn't wear anything tight that's going to show your chest or anything too low cut because you won't be taken seriously. And it was interesting that they chose to have the speaker come in, but it was interesting also that like this is just like still a dialogue that's accepted in 2021, almost 2022, like telling women that they can't be taken seriously and seen as professionals if they're dressed or look a certain way is something I really hope to change or help change. Again, talking about how I'm getting on stage in a swimsuit, not something that was probably like seen in the legal field. But, you know, we've had lawyers win pageants. We've had lawyers win Miss USA. So I hope that this, you know, just continues to progress and we hope we see less of it in the legal field and less of that discrimination on gender.
I'm not even sure if it's limited strictly to the legal field. This narrative, let's call it a narrative, that if a woman dresses a certain way, won't be taken seriously. The issue I have with that is that it places all the onus, the burden on the woman. It's like the woman's fault for dressing that way. And now I don't take you seriously. It's not my fault for jumping to conclusions and stereotyping you. It's your fault because you chose to wear that. I'm going to assume that wasn't Emma. That was her dog. Emma hasn't just suddenly started barking. We'll let her deal with that. While she's dealing with that, guys watching, I can see a bunch of you watching at home. If you have any questions for Emma, put them in the comments and I will circle round to them once she's done with her. I'm going to assume that was a puppy, not a chicken.
Yeah, we have lots of dogs here. I think they're done. Someone came to deliver something and they are not happy about it. But you were saying in regards to just all that it's not
blaming the woman. So if you wear something that is form-fitting and I see it as a man or woman and now I don't take you seriously, apparently that is your fault. It's not my responsibility to actually not stereotype you. That seems to be the narrative.
Yes, frequently. And I think it's really disappointing. Can you hear me with them?
Yeah, it's fine.
I think it's really disappointing that this is still a narrative that we have in so many parts of just, you know, everything that we do. started experiencing when I was in middle school. We had dress codes to not distract the boys learning.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Jesus, that's
that
still a
was the
thing.
base. That was the basis of the dress code. I remember reading the handbook, and that was in the handbook. So this is something that's been ingrained in us from a very young age, and that it's never, women's, or it's always women's fault how they're perceived. It's not the perceiver.
Yeah.
And, this needs to change because obviously there's a degree of professionalism that goes into everything, but there's also that idea that we cannot to be telling people that it's okay to just discriminate against people based on what they look like and automatically just, sexualize people because of the way that they're dressed.
Is your puppy still there? I can. He sounds unhappy. He sounds like he needs to go and chase a postman.
He really wants the postman, yes.
Poor postman. Ralph here has said, Adrian, I enjoy your show and interviews. Keep up the awesome job, and I wish you continued success. Oh, thank you, Ralph. I thought that was a question for Emma.
He's like, oh, thank you. How'd that get on the screen?
I clicked on it before I actually read it, believe it or not. Emma, obviously, it's only, 3 weeks? No, it's 3 weeks until God. And okay, it's 3 weeks basically until the pageant. Mm-hmm. And I asked Kimberly this. You have a small thing called Christmas and New Year's in between now and then. So how's all the pageant prep going, given that you have a small festive holiday in between now and then?
Right. It's definitely a lot. But, I think if you really care about something, you just make it work all the time. You probably didn't know this, but I had to take an exam the day before. I've already actually done my Miss Earth USA interview, like my official interview. So I took an exam the day before that interview. So I'm trying to split brain, prepare for both at the same time. That was a huge feat. And so when I finished both of those, I was so proud and so happy. But, I'm always, multitasking and, I think it's all about time management. But I've definitely been practicing, preparing every day. And just really, I'm so excited to compete.
Well, what are the nerves like? I mean, you've competed in more than a few pageants. So at this stage, do you still get nervous or is it more excited?
I do get nervous. I think that it's awesome if people don't, but I think if you really care about something, it's inevitable to get a little bit nervous because you just care about it so much. And I think that's where my place of nerves come from, is that I really care about this. I care about the organization and I want to be the next Miss Earth USA. And that comes with nerves, I think, all the time. I was definitely nervous for my interview, but I was so excited to do it.
I think it's amazing that people such as yourself who've done so many interviews, and obviously you study law, so you need to know how to speak, that you still get a little bit nervous before interviews. I think it gives everyone else hope, because a lot of people think, oh, she's so confident, she'd never get nervous. And then you say, oh, no, actually, I still get a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
I think that's nice. I think that's nice to hear.
Yeah. No, I think, yes. I think I'll always have a little bit of nerves. I think, like I said, if you really care about something, it's normal to get nervous I think the biggest thing is to not let the nerves take away from what you're doing and use them to fuel you instead. So, it's not good if your nerves are crippling, but a little bit of butterflies is totally normal.
Yeah. Okay. Going into Miss Earth USA, obviously you're going to have a few sister queens competing with you. What is it that you feel that you stand for? When coming into Miss Earth USA, what does Emma Loney stand for, and what makes you stand out, let's say, from the competition?
Yeah, so as I talked about before, something that I didn't embrace and then finally embraced was being a plus size pageant contestant. And this is something so different that we really haven't seen. There's never been a USA representative that is plus size. So this is something totally new, and there's there's no guarantee that it will be accepted. And that's something that I go into every pageant with, is there might not be that desire to crown a plus size woman yet. But I believe, no matter what, having that representation at Miss Earth USA is so important. And I'm there to be that representation for all of the young women that believe that people that look like me or might look like them never could do. I'm there to be the representation that I always wanted to see when I was younger. And, the person that I always wish I could have looked up to and said and saw that I was enough the way that I was all through my childhood, that I didn't need to change myself because I could be confident and feel beautiful as I was. And just being that representation is all that I ever hope to do. So that is why, I'm going, and why I truly hope that I can be that representation for the United States.
Well, I think regardless of whether you win the title or not, I think the very fact that you're on stage and sort of paving the way, every sort of movement starts with someone who's brave enough to get up and do something that's not normally accepted or not comfortable. So, I'm sure regardless of the title, someone will be watching and go, oh, she can do it, so I can do it. And I think that's something you should be very, very proud of.
Thank you.
Just before we get to the final 10 questions, I'm trying to think what the answers. I always get to this point with return interviews and go, what did she answer last time? And I blank. and then when we start, I go, oh, that's what you said last time. But before we go there, any shout outs that you'd like to give to your team, family, friends?
I have such a strong team behind me this year. I have more people supporting me this year than ever before. And the list is too long to name. So just everyone that has helped prepare me for this moment, I am so eternally grateful. And just, your confidence in me and standing behind me is something that I didn't ever think that I'd get. So I'm just so thankful to have it. And then, of course, to my family for going on this ride with me all these years. My mom is a professor, but she's able to take a couple days off to fly down and watch prelims and finals. So I'm so excited to have her there. And just, everybody that's always been there for me and supporting me.
Are your parents pageant fans?
They never watched pageants, never knew anything about pageants. All they know about pageants is through me. My mom is a fan of, the pageants that I compete in. She's a big fan of Miss Earth. She loves Miss Earth. So she's a huge fan there. Otherwise, not really.
That's okay. I'm just curious. Obviously, they have to get involved somehow when you're competing in them, but I'm just curious.
Right, yeah.
All right. Let's go through to the final 10 questions, and let's see if you or I can remember any of your answers. So, Question 1, what is your favorite word?
I'm sorry, but I just remembered what I said last time for my least favorite word, but my favorite word is probably...
moist. Yes. That's it. Last time we were talking about the moist train. That's the worst train in the world.
We have to revisit it.
Oh my god. Yeah. What's your favorite word though?
Perfect, probably. I say that a lot.
I can't remember what you said last time. All right. So question 2. Well, what's your least favorite word? Moist. Has that changed? Allegedly, moist is your least favorite word.
Allegedly, moist was my least favorite word. No, I probably don't like dissent now because it means I have to read another huge argument.
Right.
No, but I mean, as far as just words that feel gross, words that just sound gross, moist is still pretty gross.
I'm having flashbacks to the moist train. It does not
those are not good flashbacks.
No, it's not a pleasant image in my head. A moist train. It's just like, oh, okay, better wear a face mask on that one. Dear me. Question 3. In life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
Being the representation that I always wanted to see, that gets me so excited, whether it's on social media or in pageantry or whatever I'm doing, just knowing that I'm being the person that I wish I had when I was younger gets me so excited. And hopefully just the idea of being able to inspire somebody to pursue their dreams that might not otherwise have.
What turns you off?
Cyberbullying, any kind of bullying. I think that people don't realize, especially nowadays, the impact of their social media presence and what they do on social media. I got a lot of nasty things said to me after I competed at Miss Earth USA this past year. And I didn't let it take me down. I didn't let it consume me, but it definitely hurt. And it's something that people see. And I don't think people, when they go on social media, understand the full impact of that. So, you know, if I wasn't as confident in myself and I was getting all that hate, I don't know how that would have affected me. And that's something that's happening to people everywhere on a daily basis. High schoolers, middle schoolers, like God forbid, elementary schoolers are getting cyberbullied, and that's dangerous to their mental health and their physical health as well. So that's huge turnoff.
Absolutely. Question 5, what sound or noise do you love?
I love my dog snoring.
He snores? Is he okay? He's not choking on something?
No, it's this cute little... Okay, so I have 3 dogs, but I'm talking about my teacup Chihuahua, and he is 12
Teacup Chihuahua? What is teacup? Chihuahua's already small, aren't they? So that's teacup... Oh my God.
He's very small. He's like 3 pounds. I put him in my introduction video. If you watch it on the Miss Earth USA page, I'm like,
he's so small. He could get beaten up by your chickens.
Yeah, he could. They've chased him before, but then he barks.
To me.
But he, he's 12, and he does this like little like baby snore. It's so like small. It's just so cute, and I love it, and it makes me so happy.
What's his name?
Nini.
Nini. Nini. Oh, dear me. Teacup Chihuahua. I had no idea that exists. Now I want to look it up and see if it can actually fit in a teacup. All right. What sound or noise do you hate?
Chalk against a chalkboard. Anything like that. I don't like chalkboards, and I don't like chalk. And then of course like sharp objects on a chalkboard, horrible, like nail.
The knife on china, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, like
yeah. We got that. All right, question 7. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
The ability to be in 2 places at one time, or like multiple places at one time. Because I'm so busy. I think that would be extremely beneficial.
It would be very, very useful. That's for sure.
Useful. Or just like I could memorize things like as I read them, like just full memorization immediately done.
So would you rather be able to be in multiple places at once or have a photographic memory?
That's a tricky one. I'm not sure. With law school, probably the photographic memory, because there are so many laws. So I think that actually. Fair
enough. Question 8. What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
I always had a dream of being an actress, so that if I was to divert from my path, let's go to Hollywood. I'm going to be in the next movie. Here we go.
For some reason, when you say that, I can just see it so clearly. Just, you know, that level of extra, the drama, and I can see it.
I mean, you know what? Never mind. We're going. Just going to be an actress.
I think you should record a show reel, see what happens. I think it would go amazingly well.
That's so interesting. Maybe someday we'll try.
Exciting. You heard it here first, guys. All right, question 9. What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
I am not like skilled in like putting things together or I'm really not like anything like cleaning. I wouldn't like. I know that sounds like the basic answer, but you know, I guess like being a garbage person wouldn't be horrible, but if I had to like work at like a waste like management plant, that would be pretty bad. Yeah.
I'm laughing because a friend of mine, she's a fluid engineer. Well, she's engineer and she had to study fluid mechanics, and her practical excursion was to go to literally a waste reclamation. Let's just say she called it the poo factory because that's what it was.
There is one about 20 minutes from where I live. It's quite a place.
How's the smell?
Oh, wait, I can't smell it here, but if you drive past it, yeah, you can smell it.
Okay. Delicious. Final question.
How do we always talk about gross things?
I don't know. Chickens can be pretty gross, I should think of it. Dear me. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You're going to make me cry. That I made a difference. That I was able to like change the world for the better would be.
It won't be the first time I made someone cry. I was interviewing someone yesterday for the book, and she started crying, and I'm one of those people, if you start crying, I start crying, so it was awful. It's kind of like this vicious cycle that you just end up bawling until you can't even remember why you're crying, but there's just tears running down your face.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that one wasn't recorded, but...
Yeah. I was able to... But that's a touching question.
It's a thoughtful question. It's a thought-provoking question. Well, Emma, it's been a pleasure. Lovely catching up.
It has been an absolute pleasure. So glad we got to do this. So glad to see you.
And best of luck for the upcoming pageant. Thank you. I'll just say a quick thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll keep you on the line for just a second whilst I hang up with the audience. But thanks to everyone for watching live or on the replay. Ralph has said, good luck, Emma, and see you in 3 weeks. Take care, Adrian. It was a pleasure hanging out with you both. There you go. Pageant fans through and through. Thanks to everyone for watching, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Sorority Access is now open. So if you'd like to join an amazing group of women and learn how to be the most powerful, confident, and impactful queen possible, head to thepageantsorority.com. I'll see you there and see you in the next video.